Along with the registration over the weekend, the candidates submitted their official pledges to the Korean National Election Commission. Kim Ji-yeon gives us the rundown of the top promises of the 5 major parties' nominees.
It would be worthwhile for voters to go over each of the 10 pledges, but for those who don't have the time, let's quickly go over the #1 pledge of each of the 5 main presidential candidates affiliated with the political party. Some of them may overlap, but looking at each candidate's #1 priority could give us a hint about the focus and direction of the state affairs of the next administration for the coming 5 years. Following the order in which they're listed by the National Election Commission, first off is Moon Jae-in, the former leader of the Democratic Party of Korea. He says his #1 pledge is to create new jobs, particularly in sectors related to public health, welfare, nursing, firefighting, and law enforcement, as well as those related to tech development and the so-called 4th Industrial Revolution. To do that, Moon says he will set up a new committee dedicated to the 4th Industrial Revolution and spend a combined $2.9 billion a year for the creation of new jobs. The top pledge by Hong Jun-pyo of the conservative Liberty Korea Party emphasizes the country's defense against increased threats from North Korea and says he'll make sure the deployment of THAAD is complete by the end of June. The former Gyeongsangnam-do province governor says he will work with the U.S. to redeploy American tactical nuclear weapons to the country, which were withdrawn in 1991 as a deterrence measure. The top pledge from An Chol-soo, the co-founder of the minor opposition People's Party, is also focused on defense and increasing diplomatic efforts to deal with provocations and threats from North Korea. In comparison to Hong, though, An says he will work to make the Korean Peninsula a nuclear-free zone while resuming multilateral security-related discussions, including the 6-party denuclearization talks. To do that, An says he will increase annual defense spending to 3% of the country's GDP. This means the country will need to raise an additional $8.8 billion over the next 5 years for defense. Meanwhile, the top pledge by Yoo Sung-min from the splinter conservative Padam Party concerns reform of the labor sector in terms of work-life balance, which he sees as necessary to tackle the socio-economic issues stemming from chronic low birth rates and a rapidly aging society. Yoo says he will increase the period of parental leave for all workers to 3 years from the current 1 year and limit late-night work or work-related contact after hours. Yoo says he will double the amount of state child support, which, depending on the age of the child, is currently a maximum of $176 a month. Last but not least, Shim Sang-jung, the presidential hopeful from the minor left-wing Justice Party, her top pledge is focused on political reform to end political divisions by region by introducing a new electoral system. She says the country should adopt the partyless proportional representation system, which distributes parliamentary seats to political parties in proportion to the results of all votes cast in the election. That would get rid of the current system in which voters have 2 votes, one for their single-member district and another for a party. You can check out the rest of the candidates' pledges and more on the National Election Commission website. The pledges were submitted right after the first televised debate among the 5 candidates conducted last Thursday, which saw fiery exchanges from the frontrunners Moon Jae-in and An Chol-soo. At least 4 more televised debates are scheduled in the run-up to the election on May 9th, with the next one scheduled for Wednesday. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.